Let's begin with some other news. Tonight, Ghana has taken some giant strides in developing its financial markets for prudent investor returns. That's the conclusion we are drawing from the latest APSA Africa Financial Index released in Accra today. Now, the country has been ranked 7th in Africa on financial market development. But what has influenced this position? George Riafe has more.
The market index reviewed 22 developed markets in Africa on 6 pillars. That is market development, access to foreign exchange, market transparency, capacity of local investors, macroeconomic opportunities, and enforceability of market contracts. From the 6 pillars, Ghana was ranked very high with 4th position in market debt, coming ahead of countries like Botswana and Egypt. However, scored low when it came to the capacity of local investors to participate actively in the market. Director of APSA in South Africa, George Asante, has been speaking to Joy Business about the report.
The country is looking at things like changing its legal framework so that it respects financial market contract. That is one area where I see as a quick win for the country. How do we transform that legal framework to be able to support financial market contract? Then the last thing that came up, it's also the innovation that is coming through from the regulators and market participants. So, for example, the issue was debated about how do we ensure that we release capital that is held up in all these houses or real estate that is walking around. I mean, the banking sector has 80 billion. How do we get the capital market to be involved in that 80 billion and transform that 80 billion into additional capital?
However, First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Marcelo Pokuaferi, has some issues with aspects of the report.
If you look at the index, I think it still has some work to do. It is really capturing what is on the ground, but I think there is some work to do. And I think I've shared this with George, both in DC and in Bali. And I'll pick on just 2. If you look at access to FX, I get a sense that the index is actually picking the volume of FX available. And for that reason, you have a country like Nigeria way ahead of a country like Ghana in terms of the oil FX that comes in.
Speaking at the same event, Director of Financial Service Division at the Ministry of Finance, Samson Agliko, also announced that they are fast-tracking a new set of regulations together with the Bank of Ghana to help improve supervision of the financial sector.
We're working with the World Bank and a couple of consultants to put the framework together. But if there's anything that is these challenges that we have seen or we are seeing has taught us is that, look, you must find a way to protect good institutions and find a way to punish the bad ones. And so we have to really deepen that call.
Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Paul Abebi, on his part, said they are committed to improving the environment to help aid the growth of the sector as well as attract more offshore investors.
The Trades Union Congress, TUC, is confident government will meet the revenue targets in the 2019 budget if it goes according to plan. Deputy General Secretary of the TUC, Joshua Ansah, told Joy Business the Ghana Revenue Authority can easily broaden the tax net if it is well resourced.
Revenue target for 2019 is about 58 billion cedis, up from the 46.8 billion cedis for 2018. The Trades Union Congress believes the decision by government to enhance revenue collection through implementation of programs like the Tax Identification Number System is laudable. According to the TUC, if government finds more innovative ways to resource the Ghana Revenue Authority and provides staff with all the necessary logistics, the 2019 target can be met. Deputy General Secretary of the TUC, Joshua Ansah, spoke to Joy Business on the sidelines of a post-budget forum here in Accra.
I believe that it depends on self-discipline. We must discipline our expenses, we must discipline our policies, we must be up and doing. When we enact policies, we should follow that policies to the letter and ensure that the right things are done. It is time that the government raise the whip against any irregularity or anything, that is tantamount for corporate acts. If you do that, I think we can manage this country with no help from anywhere.
What about the fiscal targets? Do you think government have all it takes to meet the targets?
If you really resources the revenue collecting agencies, they'll be able to do that. We have a lot of graduates outside there. If you think the number of employees in this sector are too small, please engage them. Let them go out there and they will be able to get whatever target that has been set for us.
Meanwhile, the TUC is urging government to institute measures to improve fiscal discipline in the public service to avoid Ghana going back to the IMF.
It's something that we have come for many years ago. So we were happy to hear that at long last, the exiting from the IMF programs has been captured by the 2019 budget, because IMF has never, for us as Labour, think that IMF program has never helped us in any way. It has rather deteriorated and made people worse, especially workers. In cases where there's a ban in the employing people, it's a very negative thing that government today, government tomorrow, and yesterday have done. But we are happy that we are exiting from the IMF. But once we are exiting from IMF, we must also be very conscious about discipline about ourselves. Because I think IMF always come in when they see that the country is indisciplined. But I'm surprised that you are for your own country, you have your own resources, and you can't discipline yourself unless somebody comes to shape you to do ABCD, which has not helped us. So.
The Organized Labour Post-Budget Policy Forum is organized with support from the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung.
A human resource expert, Ali Moore, has rejected claims that it is the sole responsibility of government to improve the ease of doing business in the country. According to him, since the performance index of a country is crucial in attracting foreign direct investments, the private sector has a role in ensuring better performance.
The report, which focuses on investigating the regulations that enhance business activity and those that constrain it, described the country's business environment as a rapid growing one. But according to a human performance expert, Ali Moore, this performance can be better if a private sector plays a role.
If they were to ever come together to do a project or to merge or anything of that sort, they would have to discuss what are the things that we're going to keep from each, what are we going to share with each other versus what are the things that we are going to hold on to and keep separate. And so when organizations or companies come from, whether it be Europe or the West or Asia or anywhere, and come to work here, it's the same conversation that has to happen. What is it about this company that you want to work with, and the values that they bring and the skills that they bring that make you want to work with them? And what is it about your own organization that you bring to the table, and together how can you make this work?
The CIMG evening with Ali Moore brought together some fellows of the institute and players in the financial sector to discuss how to harness good organizational practices at the workplace. Kojo Mata is president of CIMG.
It is not only the chief executive or the head of department. Change must take place at every level of the organization. And I will implore everybody that we should make changes in our various roles. And there is always a better way of doing something. There is always a better way. So if you ask yourself, what I am doing, is that the best way? Why am I doing it the way I'm doing it? You will always find that things have changed and you are still living in the old age, and you will change and do it in a better way.
The event was on the theme, the convergence of global leadership development and organizational culture as a foundation for organizational change strategy. Bismarck Hausa's report for Joy Business.
And you're watching Business Live. What is happening to the city? I bet you'd want to find out. We have a discussion after this break.
Welcome back to Business. Big story tonight. The local currency is just 1 pesewa shy of hitting the 5 cedi mark against the dollar. It closed yesterday at 4 cedis 99 pesewas, and today, as of the time we came on air, is still trading at 4 cedis 99 pesewas on the interbank market. So what has resulted in all this? Philip Namfuri, our in-house researcher and analyst, is here to help us. Philip,
Sandra.
The beginning of this year, some analysts predicted that the local currency was going to hit the 5 cedi mark against the dollar. Is this going to be a prophecy come true?
Well, if you look at it, we have a structural problem. And by structure, I mean what we get in terms of foreign exchange. Dollar, euro, and pound. It seems not enough to meet the demand on our local market.
Right.
So what's the solution to this structural problem? And it's been raging on since I was a kid. Increase our exports, add value to our exports so that it brings in the necessary foreign exchange.
You're still talking about the same issues.
Particularly the dollar.
Right.
Now what happens is that these are seasons. Christmas is coming. We are going to import goods so that you and I can have a good time during Christmas. When we used what is left, and even let me just bring this in, even in the 2019 budget, the finance minister alluded to the fact that our reserves went down because Bank of Ghana intervened on the foreign exchange market by supplying it with dollars. If you follow the arguments of some like the CEO of Delex Finance, Ken Thompson, he says we should allow the cedi to fall to its natural level.
Why? Because businesses are suffering, so why should we allow the dollar to get there?
If you follow his arguments, he believes that if this happens, then a correction comes to place. It reveals the true value of the Ghanaian cedi, rather than managing it as we have now, where the Bank of Ghana comes into the market with it. We've seen over the course of time that if we issue a Eurobond and the inflows come in, it stabilizes. If we issue the cocoa syndicated loan, comes and it stabilizes. And we've been doing this for a long time.
I was coming to the cocoa syndicated loan. I mean, for most experts, they were expecting that, very optimistic that when the cocoa syndicated loan comes in, it's going to cushion the dollar a little bit. But it looks like as if it's not done really much because we are still back to the same situation.
The key question here, Sandra, is if it cushions the dollar, for how long?
So we are always looking for short-term solutions, but not long-term solutions.
The long-term solutions will take some time. And it behoves on the Bank of Ghana, which has the role of monetary policy and others, to make sure that, okay, they need to examine the market. Remember sometimes they brought this Forex rule that didn't go very, very well. We've seen that even when you go to a Forex bureau and changing, you're supposed to put your ID card
and all
stuff like that. We need to check all those things because I've heard, and I can confirm this, that some are not complying with this. Some are complying. I've changed and then I've been asked to produce my ID, I've been given my receipt and whatsoever. So some of these short-term measures will have to be taken.
The issue of black markets is also playing a factor here. Over time, we've said that the activities of people trading on the black market has an effect on the dollar. Do you think that we need strong, implementation of the laws to clamp down on this black market operators to be able to solve the situation?
I would agree with you. Parallel markets, as we call it in finance, they always exist. You have that, there's a main market where you and I are formally trading. Then we have the back end. And we've seen it in our capital city. We have those guys, I don't want to mention names, where they are carrying dollars and foreign currency stuffed in their clothes and all that. I spoke to a Forex trader just before I came on the show, and he says some of his people are selling it at 5 Ghana cedis. So it has even crossed
the 5
yes,
mark.
with regards to some people. It's major banks that are doing it for the 4.90. But we should also know that it's volatile. It may go up, it may come down. So if we're reporting 2 cedis shy away from the dollar, tomorrow morning it might change. You don't know what will happen.
But do you see it coming down?
Right now, given the season we are in, I would want to say yes, I would want to say no. I want to just observe and see how it's going to go.
Yeah, talking about the season, it's Christmas around the corner, and so many people depend, like you say, we still heavily depend on imports. On imports. So we're going to buy a lot of things for the Christmas season. So that's going to affect the budget of a lot of people, and people's pockets will be heavily affected.
Yes, true. I want to add this quickly. The year is coming to an end. Companies will start declaring dividend. If you have foreign counterparts or you need to repatriate some of your profits, you're going to do it in dollar. There's always this argument that we should start retaining some of, provide some local content so that some of the foreign exchange is conserved. So we need to monitor carefully from now to next year and see how exactly our cedi is going to perform, particularly against the dollar, because there was this particular time it depreciated the most against the pound and euro rather than the dollar.
Yes.
We expect it to always depreciate more to the dollar. But this time, as it was containing the budget, it went down more against the dollar than the other currencies. So we need to keep our eyeball on these issues.
All right, always talking about long-term solution. We've not really done anything. Projecting into next year, because we are just close to the end of the year, how should we deal with the CD issue to be able to, let me use the word of politicians, arrest the CD, if there's a word like that, in the coming year?
Sandra, for now, given the time frame, it's only short-term management that we can implement. Either we're going to pump in more, but then let me just chip this in. There's always this argument that we demand on the spot. So there's an issue of spot rates. Going forward, we need to start looking at forward rates and cross rates so that we demand dollar or foreign currency at not let me just very crude, not on the spot, but at a later time to reduce the burden on it.
All right, so you won't shake me. So it's a pleasure always having you on Business Live. And that's how we wrap up tonight on Business Live. For more business news, do log on to myjoyonline.com/business for more business updates. And I've been here with Darokwa. Philip was here to give us all those insight about the CD depreciation. Have a great evening. My name is Sandra and thanks so much for watching.